this moment is quite important. And of course, it's quite important because it's the only thing we got, really. Well, I mean, where is the future in our hopes and dreams, expectations? It doesn't exist. Where's the past? In our memories, which have already so severely distorted it, it doesn't even reflect what happened. But we do have this moment, right here, right now. It's the closest thing we have to truth, isn't it? So the next reasonable question is, can we be here for it? Or are we going to chase our thoughts out into the future and back into the past and out to the future and back to the past? So in fact, we're in the present moment very little. Yet if we really want to be with somebody else, if we really want to communicate, if we want to share an experience, we do it in the present moment. So maybe for this 30 minutes or so, we can take all those things that we have to do tomorrow or the next day or the next day. We can take obligations, things that we have to prepare, things that we have to do. We can take our personal history and our psychological issues and our emotional breakdowns, our dreams, our fantasies, and just put them all with your shoes. Just right now, take a moment, go inside, take a deep breath, and put your mind luggage with your shoes. Now, they creep back in, but just that initial, what does that make you feel? Maybe, oh, things are okay the way they are, just as I'm experiencing them. Maybe that's possible. In Zen, we have form and emptiness. Form, emptiness. Space, holes. Things, blankness. All the traditions define it differently. For our purposes here, and if you're interested in meditation, what we're doing is we're emphasizing the space between your thoughts. Okay? So as the thoughts come up, they're going to keep coming. You don't chase them. You don't pursue them. You don't cling to them. You try to manipulate them. You don't use them. You just let them go. As Kimball was saying, like sitting in a busy train station. Train comes in, train goes out. Just don't get on the train. If you can do that, that's what meditation practice is. The space between the thoughts. In fact, the space between the thoughts happens to be the present moment. That's what it is. It's the present moment. Right here, right now. Now, when we made this Dharma room, I think we had first, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. We had to pour concrete on the floor first because it was so uneven. So when we first got the house, there was no heat in this side of this half of the house at all. The previous owner hadn't paid the contractors. The contractors had shut the water off, shut the heat down. All the pipes had frozen. The roofs and ceilings had fallen down. All that kind of thing. But anyways, So our goal was to get a dormer room first. And so the first thing we did is we tried to level the floor. And we couldn't do it. You know, you're nailing plywood down and trying to get it level, and none of us were really expert carpenters, and it didn't work. But we kept trying for quite a while. And then somebody came along and said, well, just dump a bunch of concrete on it and it levels itself. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting idea. And then somebody else said, you know, concrete's pretty heavy. This is an old building. You don't want the place to collapse. And so there was, it turns out, what's called light concrete. So we poured light concrete, you know, one of those big concrete trucks comes and they put the tube through the window and they just dump a huge pile it on the floor, and then they rake it out and then it dries. And we had a nice flat floor. However, it was very hard. And so we thought, well, what are we going to do with that? And we were always a little nervous because a lot of the Zen centers, when they first started, had problems with the neighbors, mostly because of chanting and the moktak, which the sound of the moktak really carries. And so we didn't want to have problem with the neighbors. So we put down this rug that was like, you know, like a 1960s shag rug. That's we used to think they were very beautiful. Everybody, styles have changed. But anyways, it was thick and it killed the sound. So we put down this nice thick rug. And it was, Providence had a blue rug. So we thought we'd have a green rug. So we made it a green rug. And that worked out for a while. But after a couple of years, you know, we had these get-togethers and things would happen. People would spill stuff on the rug and stain it, and it just looked worse and worse. And so actually, I think it was when Jane was abbot, she said, let's put down a hardwood floor. And what kind of wood should we use? This is the reason I'm telling you this story. So we put down bird's eye maple, which is what you're looking at when you come in here to meditate. And the carpenter that put it down was very excited about the dimples in the bird's eye. I mean, bird's eye has these little, I don't know what they're called, but little, what are they called? Somebody help me.
Bird's eyes.
Bird's eye. Good enough. Mark says bird's eye. But they're little different tones in the grain and twists in the grain and turns in the grain. And each piece of wood is completely unique unto itself because of that grain. And the carpenter that put it down, as I was saying, where the stone diamond is in the middle, he actually selected the wood that had the most bird's eye in it and put that in the center of the room around that little piece of marble there. Each one of us is that way. We are unique unto ourselves. Each one of us. Just as we are in this moment. The Buddha actually taught that each one of us, as we are in this moment, is perfectly complete and fully enlightened. Just now. But we don't believe that. So we practice. So our practice actually has nothing to do with getting something that we don't already have. Our practice has to do with simply recognizing what we already are. Isn't that interesting? It's the only thing I've ever done in my life that there wasn't some expectation. But then I come along to the Zen Center and they said, the expectation's extra. You don't need it. Just be awake right now. That's your job. And then your direction simply appears right out of that. No. Simple, simple, simple. So if you come in to sit, and for many years I came in here to sit, I would look at the bird's eye maple floor and say, wow, that's extraordinary. Just that. Perfect, complete, just the way it is.